Hello, I'm Kristin, and welcome to my channel, From Chronic Fatigue to Chronic Abundance. If this is your first time here, there's a few things you should know about me and my channel. So I have recovered my life from severe chronic fatigue on 3 occasions. And each time I healed, there was only one thing I needed every time, okay? And it wasn't the same people. I had different doctors, I had different practitioners, health coaches, etc., helping me heal each time. It wasn't the same blood work. I had different blood work done each time. It wasn't the same treatments or supplements. I needed completely different supplements and treatments to heal each and every single time. So I don't talk about those things on this channel because there is no one size fits all plan for any of us to heal from severe chronic fatigue. Whatever the cause of your severe chronic fatigue, whether you've been diagnosed with something like ME/CFS, fibromyalgia, hypothyroidism, lupus, anything, or if you don't have a diagnosis yet, all right, there is no one size fits all plan to overcome this. So I don't pretend that there is. And anyone out there who says they have the one thing you need to heal, they're full of it. What they did, I'm sure, helped them, and it will help some of you. But what's really crucial is actually having the right mindset to embark on your healing journey. What helped me heal every single time, and what helps me heal faster each time, was having what I call the healing mindset. The healing mindset did several things for me. One, it shaped how I approached my health journey. When I first fell ill, I just went to the doctors and I put all accountability and trust on them to heal me. And that got me nowhere very quickly. That got me more ill. That got me out of work. That got me feeling like I had the body of a 100-year-old woman when I was 26. All right. I had the mindset to embark on my own journey, to take accountability for my health, and to view myself as, what I say, the CEO of my health, meaning the CEO doesn't have to do all of the work in the company. Their main job is to set the vision and focus for that company and to hire and fire the team to help that CEO take the company where they want to go. All right. So how I apply that to health. My health, back when I was 26, the first time I was ill, was very, very poor. Okay. I could not walk around the block without getting lightheaded and severely winded. Even just getting up to go to the bathroom was a major ordeal every day. I got to choose between eating breakfast or showering. There was no way I could do both. And some days showering was entirely out of the question because I couldn't stand that long. I'm sure you can relate to a lot of these symptoms. Massive, massive brain fog. I couldn't read a book. I couldn't follow along in a movie or a TV show because my brain just couldn't hold information short term. I couldn't follow along in a plot line or anything like that. And it got to the point where I couldn't even work, not even an hour a day from my laptop, from my bed. Couldn't happen. So I took accountability for where I was at and realized that I needed to do my own research on who was going to work with me. And if doctors weren't helping me, I needed to leave them in the dust and focus on finding the right doctor. Okay. And not just doctors, but also the right emotional support in the form of therapists or health coaches. And having the right mindset is what kept me focused on healing. It's what kept me searching for what I needed over multiple years of being massively ill. And having severe chronic fatigue can really rob us of our motivation and our hope for the future, right? And having the right mindset, the healing mindset, helps us connect back into our motivation, even on those days that are really hard and really dark. And it helps preserve that hope for our future. It helps us stay focused on where we want to go instead of dwelling on how hard our lives are today. So hi, I see some people joined. This is a live Q&A. I'm still going through my intro today, But feel free to start typing up your questions in the chat. When I have a moment here, when I stop to take a breath, I'll start looking through the chat and I will just answer questions in the order that they came in. Feel free to introduce yourself, tell us where you are, tell us why you're here. Feel free to chime in and give support to other people in the chat while you're here. This isn't just about me. This is a place for you guys to connect with each other as well. So start getting those questions ready and I'll begin answering them very quickly. So to go back to what I was saying, it was really important for me to learn how to feel those really heavy emotions that I was going through when I was severely ill. It's important to acknowledge the reality of our situation. It's important for us to say, you know what, my life really does suck right now. It sucks that I don't have a job or an income. It sucks that I've lost friends. It sucks that I have to say no to social events I really want to go to. It sucks that I can't plan for my future. I can't plan for tomorrow because I don't know what my energy will be like. But then not to dwell, right? To acknowledge those things, to feel those emotions, frustration, sadness, despair, guilt, shame, embarrassment, but learn to feel them as a means of acknowledging them and processing them, and then move on with our lives, right? Move back into those lighter emotions, because those heavy emotions, when we dwell in them, they take so much energy from us. We already have so little energy every day. We don't have anything to spare. And we definitely don't have any to spare on those heavy emotions because they don't add anything to our life. They zap our motivation. They zap our energy. They rob us of our hope, and they lead many people into very dark places. I don't want that for you. I want you to learn how to live with more of those lighter emotions every day because it'll save you energy, right? And every little bit of energy that you save from negative, heavy emotions is energy you can pour into your own healing journey, all right? And I want you to have more of that motivation and hope to keep going even when things are so hard, and they've been so hard for so long, all right? I want you here with us, and I want you learning how to heal, and I want you discovering your healing journey. So that's why I do these weekly Q&As. I don't get anything out of this financially or career-wise or anything like that. It's just something I feel compelled to do, and I love it when people show up and connect in the chat. I love answering your questions. I love getting to know you. I love sharing a little bit about myself, and I especially love when you guys connect and get to know one another in the chat here. Those are the best parts. All right, let me come up for a breather. Oh, hi, Katie. I'm so glad you're able to make it. Let's see. All right, first question. How did I create comfort for myself when many of these illnesses that cause CFS make you so uncomfortable? So, all right, I have a question back for you. And that is, what type of discomfort are you talking about? Are you talking about emotional discomfort? Are you talking about like the mental discomfort of brain fog? Is it physical discomfort? Is it pain, physical pain that you're talking about? Because each of those different types of discomfort would be addressed in a different way. So yeah, if you could clarify what type of discomfort you're talking about, I could give a better answer around that. More physical, no physical discomfort. So I personally didn't have a lot of pain, thank goodness, and honestly very grateful for that. I would say the most physical discomfort I experienced was having to lay down so much. You know, sometimes it can get pretty uncomfortable to like lying on your side or lying on your back or lying on your other side for too long. And there's not much you can do about that. And like for me, I couldn't lie on my stomach ever because it felt like I didn't have the energy to breathe. Like the weight of my own chest on the front of my lungs felt like it was crushing. So when it comes to like, if you're talking about like, you know, physical discomfort lying down, what I found was typically most comfortable is if I could lay down on a flat surface like the couch or a bed, and then I had my head propped up a little bit so that I could like, you know, look at if I was reading something, which wasn't often, or more likely if I was on the laptop, I could see what was going on. And then also having my feet propped up. So having feet propped up is not only more comfortable, like for your back and to alleviate pressure points, it's also really good for preserving energy. It turns out that when your feet are elevated, your legs and your feet are elevated above the level of your heart, it's easier for your heart to be pumping blood around your body, okay? It's not gonna have to work as hard to get the blood to return. So yes, air hunger. Air hunger is a big one. I just wrote a little story about air hunger. Actually, I'm on the bed right now. I'm in the bedroom because my boyfriend's being super loud in the office today. He is on calls all day long, and I know sometimes you can hear it in the back. So here's our slightly messy bed. we make our bed by just throwing the comforter over it. So if you're gonna lie down with your feet propped up, like my favorite thing to do is literally just take a couple pillows. All we have now are a couple of pillows. I used to have way more pillows in my bed. And then, you know, you're laying down, you have your head propped up, but having your feet up like this, like even almost at like a 90-degree angle sometimes, I find to be way more comfortable long-term for laying down. Just not sure. Yeah, so it's just like feet propped up, a couple pillows, whatever's comfortable. If you want to, your legs can be a little more straight. You can have them propped up like this. If I'm on the couch sometimes, I'll have them like on the back of the couch while I'm laying there watching something. And I find it so comfortable that propping my feet up is something I still do on occasion when I'm lying down a lot. Or if I know I have to do a lot of work and really focus and I don't want to have to get up and readjust a lot, I will lay down with my feet up because I find that comfortable long term. Hi, Anna. I know I have like a message or two from you I haven't gotten back to. We can talk about that stuff here. If you want to pop them in as questions here, I can talk about them for everybody to enjoy the answers. So, you know, I wish I could be more helpful, more detailed about physical discomfort. But like I said, like pain is just something I was very fortunate to not have to deal with. And the most discomfort I experienced was just having to lay down for long periods of time. If you're back, I guess a little bit back to discomfort and minimizing the amount of energy needed on a daily basis. If you're sitting up somewhere, like say you want to be in the kitchen doing like prepping some food or something like, you know, like basic stuff you need to do for yourself. If you can get a chair in the kitchen that's like counter height and gives you enough space to have your feet propped up, like have your legs sitting like Indian style. If you can be on, oh, there's my sweatshirt. You can be on a chair with your feet up, and that's also going to take less energy because your heart doesn't have to work as hard to pump blood around your body when your feet are elevated. So the more you can sit or lay down with your feet elevated, the better. There's just a loud noise and I'm trying to determine whether or not I need to do something about it, but I don't think I do. No, okay, you got it. Cool. Sorry about that. Yeah, so Katie, just real quick, if there was something I didn't answer that you're hoping I could answer, feel free to ask that again or another way or add some information and I can talk about it again. No problem. All right. Anna, your current problem is falling asleep. You get early to bed. No, I'm assuming you mean no phone and food hours before, no stressed thoughts, but still you can't fall asleep. So we've talked a little bit about your sleep patterns and we're getting to the point where like, you know, I've recommended like high level basic things. And it sounds like you have those bases pretty well covered. So it's the type of topic that I would need to go like really in depth with you on to get a lot of details to understand like where your sleep problems may be. Because, you know, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a therapist, I don't pretend to be. There are certain things in terms of like sleep hygiene that are good for everyone to do, whether you're healthy or ill. And I'm pretty knowledgeable in the area of sleep hygiene in general. So my approach to my own health has always been like, what are the easiest, simplest, most like common things I can do to make myself feel better, and how much do those help me? So that's kind of my approach when working with you guys on things like this. Like, let me make sure that all of my sleep habits are on point and locked down before I go to a doctor and ask for help, with like sleeping pills or anything else like that. So my approach with you would be working through more of the nuanced details of sleep hygiene and understanding your exact habits around that. We can do a little bit of that through the chat here, but it is, and if we can't figure it out through like a couple 10-minute sessions, is the kind of thing that we would almost need to sit down and talk about for like an hour or two. But we'll see what we can do here. I don't know that improving sleep hygiene will help you, because there may be something physiological happening. I'm a big sleep nerd and really, it's really, really important to me. And I really make it a priority in my life to get really high quality sleep all the time. But there have been times in my life where I did have other things going on that interfered with my sleep. Earlier this year, I had a mold issue in my apartment, not the one I live in now, place I lived before. And that was causing me to get very tired and sleep extra. And as soon as I got myself out of that apartment, the oversleeping cleared up completely, because I removed myself from the problematic environment. Other times, there were medications I've been on, or even supplements I was on that have caused me to go like hyperactive. Sometimes I've been on too much thyroid hormone or the wrong type of thyroid hormone. Or as my body's healed, I was still on mitochondrial energy supplements. And as my body was healing, those supplements were causing my body to produce too much energy, and it was keeping me up at night. And the solution there was to go off some of these supplements, okay? So I'm sharing all of that with you just to say that improving sleep is not simple. It could be something about your behaviors. It could be something about your physical environment. It could be something about your emotional environment. It could be some sort of hardwiring in the brain that can be overcome through the right type of therapy and work. It could be a supplement or medication that you're on. It could be a supplement or medication you're not on. It could be an indication of something else entirely that I don't have the ability to troubleshoot with you. Okay, so I laid all of that groundwork just to let you know that I want to help you, and I want to see what we can do in the next 5 or 10 minutes here. And if this doesn't work, it may warrant looking deeper into this with a knowledgeable doctor. It sounds like you're struggling to find a knowledgeable doctor right now. Totally common. But let's see what we can do right now. Okay. Caveats out of the way. All right, so you feel like the problem is the actual falling asleep. You don't just drift away. Your thoughts are relaxed, but they are present. You think the reason is that you just had bad sleep for 2 nights and now your nerves are too exhausted to fall asleep. All right. So this idea that your nerves are too tired to fall asleep or your body's too tired to fall asleep is a common kind of misnomer. Our bodies are never too tired to fall asleep. That's not how the body works. When it's really tired, it falls asleep. The problem is we can get really tired, but also have the fight or flight sympathetic nervous system in our body on high. And when our sympathetic nervous system is on high gear, our body is physically unable to relax enough to sleep. Okay. So it probably, the fact that you've had two nights in a row of bad sleep says to me that there may be something in your nervous system going wrong. What the cause of that, I don't know. That could be emotional. That could be something you're eating or some supplement you're taking. Like, there could be a lot of reasons for that. And it sounds like the reason you can't sleep now is probably the same reason you had bad sleep the past 2 nights. So our thoughts are not the only driver or indicator of stress and tension. We can absolutely be having a good time and be having good thoughts and still be holding a lot of tension and stress in our bodies. So in addition to just the thoughts in your mind, I would encourage you to actually start doing body scans when you're unable to sleep. Just sit there and feel. I actually have a video in my channel on how to do a body scan meditation and be looking for tension. Like feel into every single part of your body very slowly. Like start at the top of your head, move to the back of your head, move to your forehead, move to your eyes, move to your cheeks, move to your tongue, move to your jaw, move to your throat. Like as slowly as you can, move to every single little body part with the intention of releasing tension, okay? Because we can still have tense muscles even if we feel good and we have good thoughts. So I would be looking for those indicators as well. Let's see. I would also be worried about the light that you're being exposed to. This is something that more people are becoming aware of finally, which is great. But the light that hits our eyeballs influences our circadian rhythms dramatically. So humans evolved, with exposure to sunlight during the day and then sometimes like fire at night, like campfires or later candles and lanterns, but all fire was the only light we had at night for a long time, of course, with some moonlight, which is very dim. And sunlight actually has a lot of blue light in it. And at noon, when the sun is coming straight through our atmosphere, is when we get the most exposure to blue light from the sun. I know the sun looks white and it contains the whole spectrum like of rainbow colors, but it has a lot of blue light in it. So not just humans, but like all mammals and animals are influenced by the light of the sun and helps us set our sleep cycles. And whenever we get a lot of blue light, it says to our brain and our body that, hey, this is noon, this is the middle of the day, you should be wide awake, and we should be wide awake for a while. What's happened in modern life with TV screens, phones, laptops, gadgets, and even just like random, like we have a little speaker over here that has a really bright green light on it at night. There's a lot of blue light that has creeped into our 24/7 lives, okay? And for a good healthy circadian rhythm, we should actually be eliminating blue light exposure after sunset or at least 2 hours before bedtime, okay? Like right now, in Philadelphia, the sun's setting around 5 p.m., which is very early. And I let some blue light into my life until about 2 hours before I go to bed. So around like 7 p.m. is when I start to cut out blue light. And there's a number of ways you can cut out blue light, okay? Oh, I forgot to mention, blue light can also be coming from light bulbs, especially if there are any LED lights in your house. LED lights are terrible for circadian rhythms because they emit a lot of blue light. Fluorescents are really bad. Even just regular white light bulbs can be throwing off enough blue light to be impacting your sleep. So what I've done is I did this years ago, and it's just something I keep up whenever I move somewhere new. I take an assessment of the light in my apartment, and I will have lights and light bulbs that I only use at night that are there to create a soft reddish light. Not actually, red's the wrong word. It doesn't look red. It doesn't look like a brothel or anything. But it has that like soft orange candlelight kind of glow to it. And there are actually bulbs you can buy specifically for eliminating blue light at night. Any like bright white lights that are in the apartment, I don't use those at night. All right, I actually, the bathroom light is a very, very bright, like white light. I'm not even sure if it's LED or what's behind there because I've never seen the bulbs that go into it, but it's exceptionally bright and very white. I know it has a lot of blue light in it. So I just keep that light off at night, and I have a night light that I use in there. Like in the evenings when I go in to brush my teeth, take my contacts out, all of that stuff. I have they call it like a candlelight night light in there, and that's the light that I use in the bathroom in the evenings to prevent blue light from hitting my eyeballs. And it's a huge difference. Like if I'm traveling or if I've been out for the evening or like I watched a movie or I went out to the cinema or something like that and I've had blue light hitting my eyes much later than normal, I don't sleep as well that night. I sleep much lighter. And light sleep is not nearly as good for you as deep sleep. We want to be having deep, deep sleep. So Anna, I would say one thing is really take an accounting of all of the blue light that's hitting your eyeballs, for 2 hours before you want to go to sleep and throughout the night, and really get good about eliminating that. My boyfriend doesn't care about this stuff, and it really bothers him. If we're watching the TV and it's gonna like turn orange, to turn off the blue light stuff. So I just leave it on, and I have these glasses. Actually, I'll show you. I have these glasses I wear. I put these on at night. Super cool and sexy, right? But these block the blue light, and these keep me sleeping deeply at night. So like starting around 7 p.m., these go on. All right, let me check in. I have some more things I can talk about regarding sleep, but let me check in because I see some more things that are happening in the chat. All right, Nika, we'll come back to your question, as well as Katie. Okay, Raf, you're gonna have to tell me how to pronounce your name, because last time I saw you, you told me I pronounced it wrong, but I don't know how to pronounce it right. So I need you to tell me how to pronounce it. Okay, Anna, you feel like it's mental because you're trying too hard. You just think, man, I'm still awake. Yes, you did the meditation, very good. Your body feels heavy, no pain, just like it really does not want to move. Okay, let me think about that for a second. Okay, so I'm getting a sense of like profound fatigue at night, but not falling asleep. Okay, Nika also uses a soothing yellowish light at night. It's super helpful. Let's see, Anna, she agrees to the light. You went it's 10 p.m. to bed, and it was very dark. Around 3, you were still awake, even though you lie in the dark for 5 hours. She goes in the dark to pee, so no light at all. So here's the thing. If you want to go to bed at 10 p.m., Anna, you need to start blocking all blue light no later than 8 p.m., like starting at 8 p.m., because it still takes a long time. And I've noticed this too. Like if I stay up too late, it's not just that like, oh, my body has kind of, or if I get exposed, if I stay up too late, or I get exposed to too much blue light, it's not just my sleep schedule gets set back. It's like my body gets the second wind. Okay. It's like, oh, we've ramped up the energy because you've stayed up late, and you're telling us that we're going to need to be up for a while. So your body has prepared to be up for a while. Or with the blue light, if you're telling your eyeballs that it's noon because of your blue light exposure, your body's going to be like, okay, we need to be awake for another 6 hours, right? So this is why sleep hygiene is so important, because it isn't just like minute to minute your body's influencing your sleep. When you give your body the wrong signals, by not having a consistent bedtime, by getting too much exposure to blue light and a lot of other things, your circadian rhythm goes off by hours, okay? And you're experiencing some of that. So it requires consistency over weeks of going to bed at the same time before the body catches on, and also really eliminating that blue light at least 2 hours beforehand, because by building a consistent schedule and cutting out the blue light early enough at night, those two things combined are usually really powerful for people to experience better sleep. All right, cool. So Shirley is getting removed. There we go. Then and reported. Sorry for the troll, guys. I kick him out as soon as I notice him. Let's see. I agree. It's a good message, but I have trolls like this. Like someone whose real name isn't in there and they start saying things like that, they think they're being funny. And I don't tolerate that. It can be a good tip But if you've tried that and it's not helping you fall asleep, then it's not all you need. So when you start to fall asleep, sometimes your heartbeat starts to become faster. Interesting. So that's telling me that there is something going on with the nervous system, because your attempts to relax and lie down are actually creating more of a stress response in your body. You're actually feeling more of that energy and that fight or flight response in the body as a result of trying to sleep. There's something in your body that's saying, no, we need to be awake. There's danger around the corner, right? So I don't want this to get too woo-woo or out there, but from what you've shared so far, it really sounds to me like there is some sort of lingering feeling of not being safe, of needing to fight something, of being afraid of something. And maybe, maybe this is as simple as you don't, I'm speculating. You can tell me if this is true or not, but I know I've gone through something like this before, where when I was at my worst, I had no answers. I had no solutions. I had no path to get better. And I was in a verbally and physically abusive relationship. There were definitely times when there was like nothing felt wrong, but I felt terrified, right? Like I could be sitting there, I'd be home alone, totally safe, no one around, my dog there with me on the couch, we were cuddling, like all the best things, not too fatigued, like able to like kind of like slightly function that day, like, even having like a good day, I would just always have this feeling of being unsafe because my life was so unstable. Being around someone so often who was emotionally unstable and could lash out at any time left me emotionally very vulnerable and left me on high alert. And that's the kind of scenario that isn't alleviated by good thoughts or good moods. It's the kind of thing that's persistent and pervasive. And I hope you aren't going through anything like this, but it might be worth reflecting on relationships in your life, how you feel about your illness, how it feels with what's going on in your life today in general, and thinking about anything that feels wildly unstable, wildly unsafe, wildly dangerous to you. I hope this is helpful. This is the kind of conversation that's hard for me to have over a screen because it's really a very deeply personal one, and not getting to like hear your voice and have the back and forth conversation with you on this makes it very difficult for me to understand if I'm conveying this stuff properly. So if this is resonating, I want to hear that. If it's not, I want to hear that too. So you feel like midnight's a better time to go to sleep for you. Okay, if you feel like midnight's a better time, then like go to sleep at midnight. If your body responds better to that, then go ahead and do that. One other thing you might want to try is actually going to bed earlier. Instead of midnight, try going to bed at 9 p.m. every night and see what that does for you. And starting to get ready, cutting out blue light by 7 p.m. Just an idea, something I would recommend personally. Okay, so here we go, Anna. The thought of losing control over your body asleep creeps you out, because when you start to fall asleep, you feel like you will not be able to move your legs and arms when you're asleep. So here's the thing, you can't move your legs and arms when you're asleep. That's normal. Have you ever had any sort of sleep paralysis? Has it been common for you to be in that like half asleep, half awake stage and realize you can't move your body? Because that happens for some people. And that's a totally normal part of falling asleep. As we're falling asleep, there's a part of the brain that shuts off motor function, right? And when that motor function gets shut off before our consciousness is fully asleep, then we realize we can't move, and that's terrifying for some people. On the opposite side of things, you can be falling asleep and you can start dreaming before your brain turns off your motor function. And that's when people like sleepwalk, or if you have a pet or a dog, I think this is the best example of it. You see that dog or that cat kind of like running or barking in their sleep. That's a mismatch between the conscious mind falling asleep and the motor functions being turned off in the opposite way. So I think this is a really interesting insight, Anna, of feeling creeped out by falling asleep. Like if you feel creeped out by something, that means you feel like it's dangerous, or you're afraid of it in some way, or it feels unsafe to you in some way. So if the act of falling asleep feels unsafe to you because you're afraid of this paralysis that happens, of course your body's going to respond with fear. Fear being the fight or flight response, which is an increased heart rate, which is alertness and awakeness. And maybe this isn't the only thing that's impacting your sleep, but it really sounds to me like there could be something going on with this feeling of being creeped out by falling asleep, of being afraid of not being able to move your arms and your legs. I think is worth exploring. And, I don't know how comfortable you feel exploring that, semi-publicly in this channel, or if that's something you want to like do some journaling around and do some therapy around. My guess is that could really, really help you with your sleep to understand where that feeling of creepiness and fear is coming from, and then work on addressing that at night. Because as soon as you stop being afraid of the process of falling asleep, it should become easier. So Anna, I'll leave it up to you if you want to work through that more here on the call, or if you want to do that on your own. Totally up to you. I am going to go back up in the chat and start answering some of the other questions I saw that came in. So take your time thinking about that. Okay. Nika, mitochondrial supplements, I will mention them because I took the really common ones that help some people and don't help others. Before I tell you what I took, always going to give you a caveat. The supplements I went on are based on recommendations from my doctor. I didn't try them out on my own. The dosage of the supplements I took was very, very important. If I had the wrong dose, they didn't help me, and sometimes they hurt me on the wrong dose. So I needed my doctor to guide me through the process of discovering the right dose. And not only is the right dose of each supplement important, the ratio of the doses is also really important, because when you change how much you're taking in one, you can need to increase or decrease a dose of another supplement. And you need someone who knows what they're doing and knows what they're talking about to do this effectively and safely. Someone who can tell you when a negative reaction you're having is normal and expected and okay, versus a negative reaction is actually a sign of a problem. Like, you need someone to be working with you through these things, because you can cause yourself a lot of agony and side effects, and you can go backwards by testing some of these supplements on your own. That being said, my doctor had me go on CoQ10. I was on acetyl L-carnitine. I was on tyrosine. I think those are the main energy supplements that I was on. CoQ10, acetyl L-carnitine, tyrosine. If you want to Google those, there's a ton of information on people who have like self-supplemented with varying results. Let's see. All right, Catherine. Katie, what are sleep stories? I'm just going to Google that right now, because I don't know what that is. Oh, it's soothing tales that mix music, sound effects, and incredible voice talent. Okay, so it sounds like you have like someone talking to you in a very dreamy way with like lots of cool music and stuff. I've never tried those. That sounds interesting. That would actually keep me awake. Like, I want to listen to the story and focus on the voice too much for that to be effective for me, I think. All right. Raph, I still don't know how to pronounce your name. I want to. Katie was asking, how did I physically do everyday tasks such as cleaning, groceries, dishes, etc.? So, like I mentioned earlier, I was in my mid-20s when I first started going through this. I wasn't married. I didn't have kids. So my responsibilities were definitely lower than people say who were parents. The one thing I had was a dog, and that dog did need taken care of. But there were absolutely days where I was living with this guy who I was in the abusive relationship with at the time. And there were days like when I definitely should have walked the dog, but I just physically couldn't get up to walk the dog during the day. So she would have to wait until he came home at night. When it came to cleaning, I completely let things slide. Like I would do the bare minimum. Like if I spilled a sauce or something in the kitchen, that definitely got cleaned up. But things like minor crumbs and dust was not important enough for me to spend my time on. And luckily, the guy I was with didn't care about that as much. I know that there are people in this world who are clean freaks and would have a big problem with that. But it's the kind of thing where you need to really assess what is critical, what is necessary, and what is not, because you don't have energy for the non-critical things, right? So yeah, I definitely let things be messy. Not disgusting. I would clean, like I would put in it became worth the energy once things got to a certain level of dirtiness. But, like I said, like not having kids, just having one dog who didn't shed a lot meant that my messes were pretty minimal. I definitely did not shower very often. It just was not a necessity. Greasy hair was fine if it meant I had more energy that day to research practitioners to work with me, to start looking for my own answers. When it came to eating, I took a super minimal approach with my food. When I could, I would cook, but for the most part, I would have things on hand that didn't need much cooking, like a lot of like raw vegetables. I would just pull like a carrot and a cucumber and a block of cheese and maybe some crackers out of the cabinet, and then no peeling of the carrot, no slicing of the cucumbers. I would lay there and like use a knife to cut up my cheese and eat it with my crackers, but like literally finding meals that got in the nutrients I needed, the nourishment I needed, fresh fruits and vegetables, but in the easiest way possible. And then also kept dishes to a minimum and kept messes to a minimum. So how did I keep up with everything? I kept up with what was important by choosing not to focus on things that weren't critical. And when you have a kid, you have a lot more things that are critical. You have more things that need to be taken care of on a daily basis, especially if you and your husband are treating you as your child's primary caregiver. And as things begin to get worse, it may be worth reassessing if that's actually good for you. And I know financially that can be a big struggle. I'm sure you seem like the person who wants to be a really great involved mother. But at some point you're going to need to assess, like, what is it costing me to do all of these things for my daughter? And what is that doing to my health? Because you may want to continue to do all of these things for your daughter, but when they're contributing to the decline of your health, when they are getting in the way of you focusing on healing, long term, you're doing yourself a disservice, you're doing your daughter a disservice, and you're doing your husband a disservice if you don't prioritize your health and your healing, right? At some point, we all need to say, my health is my number one priority, and I need to be selfish about that right now. Because if you don't take that time to be selfish, you're only going to get worse, right? If this were a simple fix, and if you were on a treatment plan that was working, and if you had a lot of hope in what you were doing, that'd be one thing. But from what we've exchanged so far, it doesn't sound like you're there. So I would look really hard about being selfish short term so that you can get back to being giving long term. And that's really, really hard advice to administer and really, really hard to implement. And I don't like having to say things like that to people. I'm sorry if you can hear the fire engine in the background. But I share this because these are the kinds of messages that helped me on my healing journey. When someone finally said, hey, Kristin, you need to face the facts here. Like, it's insane for you to continue to push yourself to try to go to the gym. Like, I couldn't even get through a warm-up for weeks, and I was still forcing myself to show up and try anyway. And every time I did, I made my health worse. All right, going to the gym versus taking care of your kid are not great comparisons because my going to the gym thing is completely optional. But once I stopped going to the gym, my health stopped declining as rapidly, right? So I think we all need to find those things in our lives that we're doing, even if we really, really want to be doing them. Short term, what can we sacrifice in order to preserve more energy for our healing journey, to be better for us and the people in our lives long term? I hope that landed the way I intended, and I hope you got something out of that. Sending you love, Katie. I know it's a really hard situation that you're in. All right, back to the chat. Nika, no, I did not experience anxiety on tyrosine. It was absolutely essential and critical for me for a long time until I healed to the point where it was no longer necessary. And the reason my doctor put me on tyrosine is because we did my blood work. We looked at my amino acids and I needed tyrosine, right? Like, we weren't just experimenting with tyrosine for the sake of experimentation. I was low in a number of critical amino acids, tyrosine being one of them. So we put me on tyrosine and it helped me. If you're experiencing some kind of really negative effect on tyrosine, it could be that your body doesn't need it, and blood work's going to tell you that. Or it could be that there's something else going wrong in your body, and tyrosine's exacerbating some other sort of issue that's there. Your blood work, the right blood work, is going to tell you. All right. Anna, no, she never had sleep paralysis. Usually you're not afraid of sleep, but sometimes your mind is still on. You start to feel your brain turning off your legs and arms. It doesn't feel nice. Sure. Oh, thanks, Anna. Yeah, and I would definitely spend a lot more time just sitting with this creepiness you feel and trying to understand where that comes from. There might be some deep answers for you there. Hi, Jack. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Let's see, did my doctor practitioner stay positive even in hard times, or did she sometimes say they didn't think they'd be able to help you? Okay, let me think. This is a good question. I've never had this one before. So I got to think through this for a second. The doctor I work with now, I've worked with him for about 4 years. Oh my God, 4 years. 4 years ago is when my second relapse started, and when I found this amazing doctor. And just to note, I got through my first recovery without this amazing doctor, so it is possible. He has definitely said to me that there are things that I am having issues with that he cannot help me with. But there are lots of other things that he can help me with. So I always appreciate and respect a doctor who says, I can't help you with XYZ, right? Because all they're doing is saying, I don't have that experience, even if they won't say those words. They're saying, I don't have the experience to help you. Like, if you have a plumber come over to your house and you have an electrical issue, the plumber is going to be like, I can't help you with that problem. It's not a judgment of you. It doesn't mean you can't be helped. It just means you don't have the right person in your house right now. You need to go find an electrician to come solve your electrical problem. And God, as I'm feeling into what you just asked, Jack, I'm feeling really, really sad that you had that experience. I don't want you to feel like because one doctor says they can't help you, it means you're unhelpable. It's not what it means. It means that person isn't the right person to help you right now. And I would hope you can find in your heart a way to appreciate the fact they said that, because now it's time to start looking for someone else, which I know you're always doing. I know you're always looking for people and you've worked with a lot of people, but it means you can stop investing time and energy into that doctor and their treatments because they've admitted they're not the right person for you. I feel like this may be a bigger conversation. There may be more going on with this person than what you've shared. And if you want to share that, cool, we can talk about it more. But yeah, not every doctor can help every person. No, that's why whenever I always talk about finding a doctor or practitioner to work with, you need to find the right one for you. Personality-wise as well as skill set-wise. All right. Good morning, some dude. Let's see. We have Sako Otsune. Hi, guys. Welcome. All right. We've got Raph helping out Anna. I love that. Raph's gone through that too when he was scared to not be able to fall asleep. Sleeping in the hospital helped immediately. That's interesting. It puts him out of that state of fixation. The fact that you had a roommate with you in the room also helped. Very interesting. So Raph, it sounds like you're saying that having someone else around helped calm you down and not worry so much about being able to fall asleep, that it was easier to drift off knowing someone else was there. It's a very human and innate and biological response to feel comforted by the presence of other people. It's actually very relaxing to us. We are designed to be social. Like our bodies and our minds and our emotions want us to be around other people because evolutionarily speaking, being in groups of people meant safety. It meant larger prey were less likely to come bother you if there were multiple humans around. It meant you had more people to help out in case anything did go wrong. So it's very, very normal to feel safer in numbers, provided those are good, safe people to be around. Not everyone is. Having been someone who dated and lived with, someone who was abusive, but my mistake. Let me see. All right, guys, what other questions do you have? I'm still here. We've only been doing this for 53 minutes. All right, I'll give you guys a little update on me since we have a few minutes. I like to do that sometimes. Today, December 19th, is my birthday. I am turning 35 years old. Can you believe it? It was July 2010. So 9.5 years ago, when my own healing journey started, it was, God, let's see. All right. So yeah, man, 10 years ago, 6 months before I first became ill, I was 25 and on paper, I was crushing it at life. I had a great job. I was getting ahead with promotions and big raises. I was into fitness and nutrition. I had a social life, right? I felt like I was being rewarded for being really disciplined and independent and having a type A personality. I didn't really care that I didn't like anything that I was doing. I didn't care that I felt unfulfilled and unhappy because I just didn't care about my internal world. I only cared about how my external world was supposed to look. And that worked for me until July 2010. It was a hot, humid day here in Philadelphia. I was in a CrossFit gym that had no air conditioning. And suddenly I collapsed at the beginning of the workout. It was like the air had been sucked out of the room. Like weakness attacked every muscle in my body, and I could do nothing but lie there and gasp for air like a fish out of water for too long. And then there were these chilling waves of shame and embarrassment I was feeling at being so exposed while being so helpless, like an infant. You know, even in that moment, that first collapse, that first bout of air hunger, severe fatigue, mental cloudiness, brain fog, all that, I was still concerned more with what other people were thinking of me than of my own suffering, right? I was still very much wrapped up in my external world and how it looked, and didn't care about how I felt, even when I was suffering through something horribly confusing. So, you know, to go from that to here, it's been a crazy decade. Oh my God. Thinking about Kristin when the day she turned 25, she had no idea what the next decade held for her. The lowest lows of her life, and also some of the highest highs. It goes like this. It's all a roller coaster ride. All right, we got some more comments. Anna, you need to sleep alone because your boyfriend snores. All right, I'll tell you one thing. I had a boyfriend who snored, and then he did those breathe right strips. They're little sticky strips you put over your nose. They go like that, and it just opens up the nasal passage. It cured his snoring. Doesn't work for everybody, but if you haven't tried that, I highly recommend it. All right, so Jack, you're talking to a new practitioner, and she started saying she might not be able to get you better, which we appreciated, but then she started saying some people don't recover past 50%. Yeah, I don't know that I would see somebody who just says that, like, well, some people can't be helped past 50%. It could just mean that they haven't found out what they need yet. I mean, I haven't met this person. I don't know who you're talking about, but from what you've shared already, she isn't somebody I would invest any more time in. That's not somebody I would work with. Somebody who says some people just don't ever get better past 50%. Like, no, I'm looking for someone who is going to be there rooting me on all the way to 100%, right? That's who I want to work with. That's who I would look for. That's who I'm going to invest my time and money in. It's my 2 cents. I would just kind of like mentally, internally, like thank you for telling me you're not the right doctor for me, and just move on with your life. You don't have time for that kind of nonsense. You want someone who believes in getting you better all the way and is going to be there helping you get there, rooting you on, pushing you when you need it. Thank you for the birthday wishes. Let's see. Oh, this is really weird, Raph. Some of your comments are coming through multiple times. It's so weird. All right. Maybe, okay, you think it was also because it was an unknown place in the hospital. It got your subconscious out of the routine of worrying at night. You think sleeping at your brother's house, for example, would do the same. All right. So it's not necessarily the other person around. It's more getting your brain outside of its normal pattern of like worry. And that's completely normal too, because all of these little like paths that we have, like things that trigger us to worry whenever we get stuck in the same pattern of behavior that's not helping us, it's because of neural pathways. Like our brains are lazy. Whenever it performs one action and then it gets put in the same context, it has the same response to that new situation or that same environment. Because it's lazy. It doesn't want to have to come up with a new way to respond to the same environment. So once we've had a few nights in our room of worrying about not sleeping at night. That just becomes a normal response in that environment of being in your room, trying to fall asleep, developing worry, and getting our brains out of that environment into something it hasn't experienced yet. The brain says, oh, I can't use this old neural pathway because that's only in response to that one situation. This is a different situation, a different place. I need to figure out a new way to respond. And it breaks us out of those trigger patterns, which maybe I'm hoping sharing that can give you some ideas on how to create a new sleeping environment for you. Maybe sleep on the other side of the bed. Does that help at all? Maybe flip the sleep with your head like where your feet normally are. Does that change how your body responds to the trying to sleep situation? Like, how can you get creative about creating a new environment for your brain to react to so you can just bypass that whole like, I'm going to worry and stay up all night kind of thing? Just an idea. Let's see, Jack. Oh, you're about to turn 25. Oh my goodness, Jack. You have your whole life ahead of you. You do. I know it's really hard right now, but you do. Thanks for the birthday wishes. Oh, Catherine, yeah. You're almost as old as me. You're an 85 baby. I was an 84 baby. Oh, Lisa, it's been so long since I've seen you on. I'm so glad you're here. Hello. It is good to see you, Lisa. How is married life? All right. So we have been at this for over an hour. If you guys have more questions, I'm here to answer them. Feel free to type them in and we can have more conversations. If you haven't already, I have a Facebook group where we can do this kind of thing more often throughout the week. I don't do the live streams on there, but sometimes I'll post little stories about my experience living with this. People are free to post their own questions or introduce themselves, but it's a place where we can connect more often than just Thursdays. It's totally free. It's a private group. You have to request to join because I want this to be like a safe space for us to talk and not be afraid that people we know are going to stop by and see what we're going through. Like none of that. Like it's just a place where we can share just for our eyes only. So the link for that is in the description to this video. Once the video posts, it takes a few minutes for it to actually post online after we close this. The link is in the description. So I invite you to check that out with us. Let's see. Oh, Lisa, you're going to Florida for the honeymoon in February. Yeah, actually, we talked about travel tips last time, Lisa, and I have a number of videos in my channel. Actually, I think there's like 7 videos I made. They're all like 3 or 4 minutes long, okay, about different travel tips that I have. So I highly recommend checking out those videos on how to travel. If you just go to like view all my videos and you search the page for the word travel, they'll come up. Let's see, Jack. You're thinking the same thing about not going with the practitioner. You felt drained even before starting to work with her. Yeah, you do not have enough energy to waste on people who are draining your energy if you're going to be working with them repeatedly over time. Absolutely not. Like, doesn't mean she's a bad doctor. It just means she's not the right person for you. And she was very upfront about that. So like, thank you. Next. Oh, Raph, that's so weird. You can't see other people's comments. I wonder if you'd be able to see them if you watched it again afterwards. Or like you could even if you just want to look at the comments of a video, little like pro tip, you can actually just move to the end of the video, like, and then pause it. And you can see all of the chat before that and just scroll through it. Yeah, airport. I definitely talk about airplane travel. Real quick off the top of my head, I would recommend getting one of those carts to drive you around the airport so you don't have to walk as much. That is going to be really, really key for you to have the cart driving you around. Have some noise canceling headphones if you can, because planes are very loud. And for us, intense stimulation can be very, very draining, especially over long periods of time. So I highly recommend noise canceling headphones. That will preserve a lot of your energy, bring lots of layers, like layer from like a tank top to like like a long sleeve shirt and then like a cardigan and then a scarf and then like a coat, because you want to be prepared for any temperatures that face you, because having to rely on your body's temperature regulation can be very, very draining. If you don't have noise canceling headphones, you can always get earplugs. I use this clear wax ones you just place over your ears. You're not putting anything in your ear canal. Those are really good for you. And sunglasses. If you're going to be flying during the daytime, you don't want that sun shining in your face, because that can also just be annoying as well as exhausting. So top of the head, those are like the main travel tips that I have for air travel. Need a refresher, no problem. Nika, have I ever experienced stiff muscles or dizziness while walking when overdoing it? Yeah, there's definitely been like being bizarrely stiff. There's absolutely dizziness and lightheadedness. The dizziness and lightheadedness had a lot to do with my POTS symptoms, POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. A lot of people with severe chronic fatigue also have POTS symptoms. So not only would I get like dizzy and lightheaded, but my heart would also start to race if I stood up, and then I would become extremely fatigued and have to like lie down again. That's like classic POTS right there. Yeah, short on breath. I had a lot of air hunger. Like it got to the point where I would even start wheezing. So not only was I gasping for breath, but there was also a wheeze in my throat. And at first this was misdiagnosed as asthma, but I learned that asthma is when you wheeze only, I think it's on the inhale. Like that's classic definition of asthma, wheezing only on one direction of air coming in. And I was wheezing on both directions, which doctors have told me is abnormal, and I'm not sure what that means, but that was part of my symptoms. Nika, have I worked with medical doctors or health practitioners? Yeah, I have worked with registered medical doctors here in the US. I have also worked with health coaches. I even worked with a licensed acupuncturist who was on the other side of the country, and he was great to work with because he was very knowledgeable and he could order blood work, even though he wasn't a doctor. So he was wonderful to work with. I've worked with a lot of people in many modalities who have helped me. And I have worked with people in many modalities who have not helped me. So, you know, I personally have had very good experiences with working with like online practitioners who are not registered medical doctors, but that's because I'm very particular about who I work with. I do a lot of research. I vet these people before I commit to them, before I invest my money in them. And it's worked out very well for me. There are really, really good people out there who are just health coaches, who's just a licensed acupuncturist, as well as really good people who are also licensed medical doctors. It's just about hunting until you find the right person for you. You also get shortness of breath. You need to lay down for a while for it to go away. Absolutely. For me, the shortness of breath was part of my PEM, my post-exertional malaise. One of the calling cards of having ME/CFS is that PEM, that post-exertional malaise, where you get extremely tired, vastly out of proportion with the effort you just expended. Like, you know, I'd walk up a flight of stairs and then like collapse at the top, not able to stand, not able to breathe, no energy, can't think, wheezing, whole 9 yards. That's PEM. Yes, layers, earplugs. Sun doesn't bother, that's good, unless it's too hot, of course. That's why I'm saying like layer like down to like a tank top if you need to like get into just a tank top. I've been on some planes where we've been stuck on the tarmac for a few hours, and I don't know why they don't turn on the air when you're on the tarmac, but it usually gets very hot in those airplanes. So it's good to be able to like take off layers to be as cool as possible. Yep, Lisa has POTS. Air hunger is awful. Yep, absolutely, Lisa. All right, so that is not on the topic of this channel. I'm getting rid of them. All right, Cool. LOL. All right, we're at an hour 10. Any last minute questions, feel free to pop them in the chat. Otherwise, I'm gonna hop off and get on with my day. If you guys enjoyed this, if you have any communities that you're part of with a lot of people with severe chronic fatigue in them, it would mean the world to me if you would share one of my videos with them. Either like one of these Q&As, or if there's like a shorter video that you found really helpful. A lot of people can't listen to like a whole hour-long video. So it'd mean the world to me if you went and shared just any of my videos with other people who could use it. It would help me get my message out to more people, and it would grow our community here that happens in the chat every week. And I think we all benefit from a bigger, stronger, more supportive community. So, all right. We're doing this again at the same time next week, 1 p.m. Eastern. It will be the day after Christmas, right? Exciting. And that's it. All right, sending you guys love and health. As always, I'm Kristin. Thank you for the birthday wishes. And I'll keep you guys filled in on how 35 goes. All right, bye. Yeah, happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. All that good stuff. All right, bye guys.